So, what we like about world schooling is that it's so flexible and it really just can be adapted to every family's learning style.
This is Worldschooling Q&A. I'm Astrid, creator of The Wandering Daughter. As a traveling family, we've spent 4 years traveling full-time to over 18 countries and 6 continents. Wherever we go, we try to learn as much as we can about the countries and cultures we visit. While we didn't coin the term, we like to call this world schooling, using the world as our classroom. Each week, my husband Clint and I will answer one question about world schooling and share our experiences of traveling the world with our kids. Ready to get started? Great! Let's dive in.
So our question for today is, how do I determine if world schooling is a right fit for my child? That is a very good question. What do you think would be, how would you answer that question?
I think there is several things to consider. I think the first to consider would be the age of your kids. Mm-hmm. Actually, one thing that we get asked a lot since we started world schooling, and actually a lot of the parents who world schooled before, they get asked a lot. My kid is, for example, my kids are 4 years old, 4 and 6, for example. Can I go world schooling? Is it irresponsible? Is it, does it even make sense? They won't even remember this.
Yeah.
What we found in all the families that we've met, we started actually traveling when our kids technically were 4 and 7.
Yeah, for those of you that are new to The Wandering Daughter and our family, we traveled around the world for 4 years from 2018 to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2022. Actually.
Yeah, full time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we started pretty young. And yes, where our son doesn't remember some of the early stuff from those travels, there's other things that they pick up. Adaptability, social interactions. That's something maybe we can cover in a future episode. But there's things that they pick up from just the travel itself that sticks with them, even if they're not fully conscious of those memories. Now, obviously, there's budget stuff to consider if you are bringing kids that young. There's accommodations. We were out of any sort of infant type of dependent type of things that we would have to bring with us.
Yeah.
But there were considerations we had to do, like car seats, for example. That kind of stuff. So I think, that was something. There are some more logistics when they're younger, especially one thing too is the parents will be carrying the bags, right?
Right.
So just keep that in mind that is thing. But I think considering age, obviously the older they are, and it's not that it gets completely easier when they're older, because when they're older, then there's other things that can become challenges or logistics, like social interaction is a lot more important. Spending time, spending time with friends or family, or just having downtime more, being more tired or wanting to do more physical activities or that kind of stuff. So there's considerations across the board. Having said that, though, I don't think age is really a factor. I think you consider the age, think about how to adapt your plan to it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But age shouldn't be a limiting factor.
Yeah. It shouldn't deter you from world schooling. I think the other thing, so not just age, but how does your child learn? What's the best way that you or your child or you, what are the types of things that how do you learn best? Do you like to read? Do you retain information from reading, or is it more tactile, hands-on stuff? I think also just the types of activities that you like to do as a family. So, what we like about world schooling is that it's so flexible and it really just can be adapted to every family's learning style. Our family, I think we learn best through like workshops and activities. And we like to do a lot of like cultural tours and stuff. And I always notice that the kids ask questions when we're doing that. Like we'll do a couple of years ago, we went to Mexico and we did like a chocolate making workshop, and the kids were like really engaged with making, asking like, where does this come from? Or like, what do we need to do? When we were in Indonesia, we did like a tour of like a Balinese village and learned about like how the rice is like planted. And we learned about like the way that they make uh the what do you call it, the offerings and
Oh
stuff.
yes, yeah.
So for our family, we are very much like, we will read books ahead of time or we'll watch videos, but we learn the best when we're like actually doing things and seeing it with like all our senses, experiencing it with all our senses, and not just with our brain. What else would you add?
I think it's really important probably to include thinking about the physical and emotional considerations.
Right.
And this can be as light as just, on the physical side, you probably going to do a lot of walking. We did a lot of walking.
We did, yeah.
If that is going to be something, I mean, that's going to be a consideration regardless, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure you work that into your planning.
Right.
Like taking breaks, that kind of stuff. But there also may be physical limitations that some families have. We are definitely privileged and lucky that we didn't have any physical limitations.
Yeah.
But we definitely met lots of families that do, and they have to figure out those logistics as well. Emotional considerations as well too. It is a little jarring. It can be a little jarring to take the kids out of context. I mean, but you can't ignore that fact.
Yeah.
And you have to be really conscious about the emotional toll that it can take, both the highs and the lows.
Right.
And if there are other emotional considerations that your family needs to, that already deal with on a day-to-day basis, make sure that you think about that. Having said that, we've met many families who successfully travel with all sorts of emotional considerations. And yes, it can be stressful, but it also is really rewarding. And oftentimes, because of either lack of support or just the frustration that they have here at quote unquote home, traveling is actually a lot of times a better experience for them, and the worldschooling is a better experience for them. So, but still something that you need to keep in mind.
Yeah. And I cover some of the like emotional, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Like if you're traveling full time, like, world schooling doesn't have to be full-time travel, but if you are doing full-time travel, there's a lot of hard things about it. It can be lonely. You can go through periods where it's just us, it's just the family, and we're not really engaging with other people, or the interactions with other people are kind of shallow because we are like, by nature kind of transient, unless you're spending a lot of time in one space. So like I do cover some of that on my website, on the Wandering Daughter, and like just about how to deal with some of like the emotional parts of and how to help your children deal with some of the emotional challenges of world schooling.
Yeah.
But kind of turning it on a positive note, I think what Clint was just saying is that there are so many different types of families that world school. And that was one of the greatest things that we loved, was just seeing like how diverse like the world schooling community is. You have like solo moms, you have large families, you have small families, you have families with like kids that range from babies to teens, and just like families of color. I think that makes it's helpful then to realize like, oh, it can fit for your family too. You just have to adjust and be flexible and adapt.
Yeah, in all sorts of configurations. We met LGBTQ families. We met families that have children that have autism. We've met families with other emotional needs, ADHD. We've met families from all different kinds of faiths, actually. Literally every configuration you can possibly think of. It's easy to kind of see or read some of these books or see some of the Facebook groups and get a perception of what the world schooling community is like.
Yeah.
But for everyone posting on a Facebook group, for example, there's 30 other families that are world schooling that you don't hear from as much. So yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Worldschooling Q&A with Astrid and Clint. Be sure to check out the show notes for any links we mentioned in the episode, and visit my website, thewanderingdaughter.com, to dive deeper into world schooling and family travel.
If you like what you hear, please consider supporting The Wandering Daughter on Patreon. It really helps us out and keeps the show going. You'll also get exclusive perks like episode transcripts, additional resources, access to office hours with us, and more. You can find us on Spotify or the podcast app of your choice. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can tap the bell icon to get notified when new episodes come out. And if you like this episode, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps new people find our show.
If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap the bell icon to get notified of new episodes. You can follow me on Instagram @WanderDaughter or follow The Wandering Daughter on Facebook. Links to these are also in the show notes. If you have any world schooling questions you'd like us to answer for future episodes, feel free to throw them in the comments or send us a message at thewanderingdaughter.com/podcast. Until next time, happy travels!
Bye!